10 words I only know because I was raised a fundamentalist evangelical. First, depravity. That's when you are absolute garbage down to the very bottom of your being. Wherewithal. Wherewithal is just a fancy word for having what it takes. Forbearance. That's having the wherewithal to put up with someone else's depravity. Beseech. That's just to beg. Intercede, which is to beseech on someone else's behalf. Propitiate, which is when interceding and beseeching don't work anymore and you have to do something big to convince someone to like you. Gird, as in gird up your loins. Come to think of it, loins should probably be on this list too. Onanism, which is a completely unnecessary synonym for masturbation. Let's think about the word helpmeet now. That's another word for servant. Nope, I mean wife. Oh, both actually, if you're an evangelical. Lastly, the word is fornicate. That's when you haven't made her your helpmeet yet, but you still fuck. We haven't had a good laugh at white American evangelicalism for a while, and we're not gonna today either. But I wanted to share a couple reasons why if we felt like it, it would be totally fine. First, if the topic of this video interests you, it's not at all unlikely that you either used to be or are a white American evangelical. In which case, laughing at it is just laughing at yourself. I can laugh at Minnesotans guilt-free. I can laugh at people who moved to LA and gave up within 2 years. I can laugh at people who live in their van and try to make a living playing their guitar even though they drink too much to remember any of their songs. I can laugh at all that because that's either me or used to be me. So if you're an evangelical or you used to be, laughing at it is just laughing at yourself. No one should get on your case about that. Now here's the second reason for everyone. When you're laughing at white American evangelicalism, you're always punching up. No matter how much they fetishize being persecuted, they're not. Lastly, and this is the third reason, evangelicalism is a system, it's a set of beliefs, it's a culture. So laughing at it is not laughing at a person. Whether or not you make fun of an individual, that's a totally different question. With all that said, we will have a good laugh at it here soon. Come along if you feel like it. You grew up in a religion where you had to give them a bunch of your money, like a set amount every paycheck? You know, tithing, giving 10% of your income to the church. 10%. Here's the crazy part, or one of the crazy parts. This is not you being generous. Because, at least in the evangelicalism I grew up with, this is one, an expectation, a moral obligation, like not coveting your neighbor's wife. And two, it's the bare fucking minimum, the baseline. You don't get to be impressed with yourself here. You're giving to God, who already owns everything, so that 10% is basically nothing. It's kind of just symbolic, but also not. Because without it, the church lights don't stay on and the pastor's kids don't stay in private school. Oh, and this is 10% of your income pre-tax, not your take-home pay. Why would you pay the government what's theirs before you pay God what's his? I'm sorry I have to gender God if I'm going to imitate fundamentalists. And if your church is especially devout, your tithe will also go towards missions, which is where a bunch of mostly white people go where there's mostly not white people and try to make them become more like white people. Holy shit. Gross. Ugh, I'm getting sidetracked, sorry. I was going to tell you about an epiphany I had. About tithing? Yes, about tithing on Lake Street yesterday, but now I'm out of time. Come along if you feel like it. I promise I'll actually get to the point in my next video. 5 absolutely insane Bible stories. Subtitle: Why in the literal hell that only non-evangelicals go to do they let children, no, require children to read these? Trigger warning, violence and gore. That time King David killed 200 Philistines, circumcised their corpses, and delivered the foreskins to Saul so he could marry his daughter. That time Ehud stabbed Eglon but didn't pull the knife out, and Eglon was so fat that his rolls swallowed up the whole knife, and then he shit himself. That time Jephthah promised God he would sacrifice the first animal that came out to greet him when he got home, and his daughter came out first, so he sacrificed her. That time the Levite was scared a mob would murder him, so he gave the mob his concubine, and then they murdered her, and he was so shocked and appalled that he cut up her body and mailed her dismembered parts to the other tribes of Israel. That time Solomon proved he was the wisest man on earth by threatening to cut a baby in half. Okay, you'll notice I didn't rank these. That's because there's like 500 more. Like and follow if you think I should make another one.
This morning, a mom asked me how to respond when her evangelical parents invite her 3- and 6-year-old to a church kids event. First, you can say no to anything you're not comfortable with. That's okay. But if it's kind of a one-off thing, and there's like a bouncy house at the church or something, it's probably fine. Here's why. The ideology of evangelicalism is not natural.
If you can show how evangelicalism is fraught with not treating other people the way you want to be treated, the kids aren't going to go for it. In fact, they're going to think it's kind of insane.
All you have to do as a parent is let them know what kind of shit these people actually believe. Hey kids, do you know what hell is? It's a place that doesn't exist that some people say people burn alive forever. Yes, it's bullshit, although we don't say that word much. And that's just one example. When you let kids know that evangelicals think it's wrong to be gay, they're going to think it's wrong to be evangelical.
All you have to do is nurture that correct inclination. Whereas anyone who wants to turn them into an evangelical has to like overhaul their entire framework of thinking and feeling and being. My point is, nature's on your side, Mom. Having some ice cream with Grandma, Grandpa, and Uncle Jesus is probably going to be okay. All right, let's take this comment piece by piece. It's going to be fun. 1, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. 2, I post what I'm thinking about, so yes, my themes come and go. 3, is one of my themes attacking Christianity? No, I don't attack Christianity. I berate evangelicalism, fundamentalism. It's a destructive, narrow-minded worldview. And one of the most destructive, narrow-minded aspects of it is that its adherents feel as if they are the entirety of Christianity, rather than the tiny sliver of it that they actually are. Evangelicalism is a toddler tradition that's cousins with Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy and the snot-nosed little sibling of mainline Protestant denominations. So yes, I'm out here saying fundamentalism is bizarre, anti-intellectual bullshit, but that's not me attacking Christianity. Christianity is a big family. I'm just saying that one of the kids is being kind of a brat, and most of the rest of the family agrees. This is a fun analogy. Now, as for the rest of this comment, 1, I don't teach. If you learn something, that's all you. Good job. I'm just out here talking to myself like a lunatic. And 2, I don't think I've ever said to love everyone. That sounds exhausting.
I'm going to show you a tweet from an anti-gay pastor that I 100% thought was satire, but it's not. Pause to read in 3, 2, 1. Basically, he says, I'm liberal about everything except that I'm not affirming about gay people, so I'm being treated like a conservative. And he doesn't like that. He's being excoriated on Twitter, which is good to see, but I want to take a different strategy, not by agreeing with him, obviously, but by showing him that he doesn't agree with himself. He doesn't say it directly, but you can read between the lines that he thinks he's a progressive. And progressive is not a set of beliefs. It's a state of mind. It's an excitement about changing. And so I'd say to this guy, and to the millions of evangelicals who believe the same thing but are quiet about it, there's a reason you're low-key embarrassed about the things you believe. And there's a reason why you'd prefer to be called a progressive than a fundamentalist. Go with your gut on this one. If you're progressive, that means you don't want to stay where you are. You want to change. Do it. The writer of that tweet was a homophobe. But I say was because that was yesterday. Today's brand new. He doesn't have to be homophobic anymore. Listen, I know personally that if you're coming from fundamentalism, you will have to go through ugly, muddled middle points like where this guy is right now. And that's fine. That's literally all any of us are ever doing. But don't stop. Don't plant your flag halfway along the journey. Keep going. If you're progressive, progress. Whew. All right.
I don't know why someone would hate God so much. Hell is hot. Let's just take a quick moment and look at the reasoning or the claim behind that comment. Essentially, why would you hate God? He'll send you to hell. Or you should love God, otherwise he'll torture you. Now, you're absolutely right if you're thinking, why the fuck are you feeding a troll? But I wanted to respond because this, even though he's saying it like a troll, which is actually helpful because that means he's being clear, he's saying what millions of evangelicals actually believe. When you drive past some vanilla church in your neighborhood, whether it's Southern Baptist or E-Free, and they've got some cutesy sign that says that prayer is like emailing God or some shit, this is what they actually believe and are not saying it as straightforward as this troll. Doesn't matter that they have food drives in the winter or put out bouncy houses for local kids in the summertime. Their God is so insecure he needs everyone to love him, and his top idea to make that happen is the threat of torture. Folks, your God needs a therapist. If you have even the slightest inclination to leave your evangelical church, you should. But not for the reason you think I'm going to say. This is a niche TikTok for slightly frustrated to totally disgruntled American evangelicals. First off, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your church. There probably is, but that's not why I'm saying you should leave. Second, if you're happy at your church, I'm not talking to you. But if you've been wondering lately, should I leave this church? The answer is yes. There's 2 ways this can go. 1, it goes smoothly and you're happier, or you discover, oh, I was happier there, and you go back. 2, it doesn't go smoothly. You lose your friends and your community, and you might think, oh, that's why I should stay. But no, you absolutely may experience extreme difficulties in leaving a church, but it is the fact that you're experiencing those things that prove it's the kind of place that you need to leave. Either you leave and they're kind and accepting, which is a great result. You can decide what to do from there. Or you leave and they make your life miserable by rejecting you, defaming you, belittling you, proving you made the right choice in leaving.